Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks so much for tuning in. Today I start filming the first project video in the new shop, which is super exciting. I'll be tearing down the frame of our 69 Chevrolet Chevelle and getting it sandblasted. I'll also be talking about the plans as to what's going back in the chassis because, like I've talked about before, we're going to be significantly modernizing this thing. So I'm going to talk about the brakes, the suspension, the rear end, and more. If you've missed any of the past episodes, of course, I put a link to the series playlist down in the description below, so be sure to check that out or give yourself a refresher as far as our end goals with the car. Of course, a big thanks to Original Parts Group for sponsoring the restoration portion of this build, and a special thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts and Valvoline as well. We're going to have a lot of fun with this video, like all videos, but I'm looking forward to getting started. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started.
Let's see, that's a pucker moment right there. All right, moving on. Now before I finish removing everything up front, I'm going to go ahead and drop the rear end. Almost through with the teardown. Now I gotta take out all of the brake lines and the fuel line. All right, the frame is all the way stripped down. Now I'm gonna work on getting the shop cleaned up, get the frame on the trailer, and head to the sandblaster. All right, I just picked the frame up from being blasted. Now we're gonna bring it out here and treat it with OSFO. This stuff is pretty cool. It's a phosphoric acid solution that's non-flammable and environmentally safe, and on bare metal, it actually seals out moisture to prevent rust. And for a rusted surface, it converts the iron oxide to iron phosphate, which is actually a protectant. This is a really, really good treatment to put on something before painting. It'll make things last longer and all that good stuff. So we're gonna get the frame coated in the OSFO and then go from there.
Go ahead and let it down, and then we'll pick it up.
All right, it's just about time to start checking out some fun stuff. I've got the suspension, the wheels, the brakes, and the rear end are to the left of me, and we'll go through all of that. But I wanted to quickly show you what the frame looks like after a couple coats of the OSFO and letting it cure for 24 hours. As you can see, it's a whole lot darker now. I left the factory transmission crossmember in just for additional bracing while I transported the frame, and you can see that was bare metal, and just letting dew and whatnot touch it has already started the surface rust, but everything else in the frame is perfect. So the next big step for the frame is getting everything sanded down fully, primed, and then painted, so hopefully that'll be pretty soon. After the frame has been painted, it's going to come back into the shop where I can finally start building the car from the ground up, literally. The suspension that's going in the car is a QA1 Level 2 set with coilover shocks, tubular control arms, sway bars. It's a very, very high quality kit, and I'll go into it all in greater depth during the install videos. Here are the wheels and tires. It's from a company called American Legends. It's kind of like the old Corvette rally wheels, but it's a cast aluminum wheel with a painted center, brushed band, and it accepts the factory derby cap, so it says Chevrolet Motor Division in the middle. Very, very pretty. 18 by 9s, or excuse me, 18 by 8s in front, 18 by 9s in the rear. I've got BF Goodrich G-Force Comp 2 all-season tires, 245 40s in front and 275 35s in the rear. Very, very excited to get these fitted to the car. The QA1 rear suspension setup is very similar to how the factory setup was organized with the 4-link design, but you have additional bracing, of course the coilovers, and the stabilizer bar. It's a very high quality kit, and it's going to absolutely transform how this car drives. Not to mention, give us all of the ride height adjustment we want. A lot of my friends have had great success with QA1 products, and that was one of the main reasons I went with them in the first place. They just make really nice stuff. Plus, they offer a ton of suspension components for all sorts of different vehicles, whether you're doing circle track racing, drag racing, street use, you name it, they can pretty much do it. They also sell individual components, carbon fiber drive shafts. They can even make custom things. So if you're building a vehicle that's off the wall, or if they don't already have a pre-engineered setup for your vehicle, they can design it for you, which is really, really cool. But here is an example of the A-body stuff, like I have. You say you got 3 levels of drag racing kits, 3 levels of handling kits. Like I said, I have the level 2, and it just depends on, you know, what you're going to be using the car for, but definitely check them out next time you're doing some suspension work. Now let's check out the front brakes. I'll get to the rear end and rear brakes in just a moment. We're going to be taking a big step up from the factory drum brakes with a Willwood big brake kit. This has 13-inch 2-piece front rotors that are drilled and slotted with aluminum hubs, as well as 6-piston calipers. I think it's safe to say this thing is going to stop on a dime. Our car came from the factory with 4-wheel manual drum brakes, so just about anything we do at this point will be a significant upgrade. I elected not to convert it to power brakes just because it's a lot of work, and I wasn't sure how much vacuum would be generated, being that the LS that I'm going to put in the car does have a cam in it. So I elected to go with this Hydro Boost system from Classic Performance Products. Now, the Hydro Boost technology has been around for a long time, but CPP offers these convenient kits to basically drop in your classic car and give you the added braking performance without all of the extra hassle. It uses the same fluid system as the power steering, so you tie it all in together and it amplifies the hydraulic fluid and gives you the extra pressure. Basically, it gives you power brakes, and I'm really, really looking forward to trying it out. It's a very sweet kit. I've got all of the other parts that go with it in my parts storage, but I at least wanted to show you the main thing. You've got your fluid reservoir, all of the amplification stuff towards the back. You've got a proportioning valve on the bottom. It's a very, very nice kit. The rear big brake kit is pretty cool. The rotors are still drilled and slotted, but they're 12 inches in diameter and integrate the hub. The calipers are 4-piston, just a bit smaller. You get 2 pistons on each side. It's all the hardware. These will also have parking brakes built into them. You have this shoe-style parking brake setup. It almost looks like a drum brake, but these mount in behind that hub right there and expand out when you apply the parking brake. So it's going to be a nice setup for sure. Instead of trying to build up the factory 10-bolt rear end, I went all out and ordered a fabricated Ford 9-inch rear end from Quick Performance that's designed to just bolt right in. So let's open it up. No lie, that was one of the most thoroughly wrapped car parts I have ever received. That took forever, but it really protected it, thank goodness, because you never can tell with shipping sometimes. This looks so good. It's the first time I'm checking it out. That's a Ford 9-inch center section. It's extremely strong with how I spec'd it out, and it's got everything to adapt it to a Chevelle factory suspension, some of which I'll use with the QA1 stuff, but I won't be using the spring perches right there, which, you know, it is what it is. Got the Quick Performance logo right there. One of the options is having it powder coated, so I had it powder coated satin black, just like all of the QA1 stuff, so it's all gonna match. This is fantastic. Now, let's check out the differential. This thing is incredibly heavy. I've had it for quite a while, so ignore some of the surface rust on it that I need to clean off. It's just from me touching it over the time that I've had it. I bought it for another project that ended up not happening, so thankfully I'm able to put this to good use on the Chevelle. I just had to order the specific rear end housing for the Chevelle so I can properly bolt up all of the suspension, but this is definitely overkill for how much power this is going to make, but I'd rather have it overkill than not quite enough. It's always a good thing, but everything in this differential has been strengthened. It's got a true track, limited slip clutch type differential, 370 gears. It's gonna be sweet. All of this stuff from Quick Performance can be ordered in a really convenient kit. So you can get a basic rear end housing with drum brakes and just a very, very basic budget, whatever you want to call it, setup to give your rear end a little bit of extra punch. But you can a la carte spec all sorts of different things, from options with the rear end itself to different axles. These are actually made by Quick Performance. They're 31 spline axles, and you can option these rear end housings out. Like, I got the jack pad on the bottom, the drain and fill plugs, and some other stuff like the powder coating. Very, very happy. It's definitely not cheap, but for what you get and the quality that they put into all of their stuff is very well worth it in my opinion, and it's just going to be the icing on the cake. We'll be able to really put the power to the ground. I'm so looking forward to this car. It's really coming together at this point. Next time you see the frame, it'll be all painted and pretty and ready for assembly. We can start putting this stuff on, get the engine all dressed out and together and on there. It's just, oh, I'm so excited.
Well, everyone, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave a like down below because it really helps the video a lot. And if you haven't subscribed already, consider doing so because, of course, there's always a lot more content where that came from. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.